In the quiet town of Mill Creek, Washington, strange events began to unfold. Over the past 3 months, 4 people had been found dead in their homes. The police were baffled. No signs of forced entry, no obvious causes of death. The only thing connecting the victims was the expression of terror on their faces and strange symbols carved into their skin. Detective Emma Wright was assigned as the lead investigator on this case. An experienced criminologist, she was renowned for her ability to solve the most intricate crimes. But from the very beginning, this case was unlike any she had ever encountered before. Emma started by examining the victims' backgrounds. At first glance, there seemed to be nothing in common: different ages, professions, social status. But digging deeper, the detective discovered a connection. They had all, at different times, undergone treatment at the local psychiatric clinic, Pine Hills. The clinic had a reputation as a place that treated the most severe cases. Many patients hadn't left its walls for years. Emma decided to start her investigation there. The clinic's director, Dr. Harris, was not too pleased with the detective's visit. He hindered her attempts to talk to patients and staff, citing confidentiality. But Emma sensed he was hiding something. That night, the detective secretly infiltrated the clinic's archives. While reviewing old records, she stumbled upon the file of a certain John Doe, a patient admitted to the clinic 20 years ago. No data on his past, no relatives. The only note in the file stated, "Extremely dangerous. Keep in isolation." Emma continued her search and discovered that all the victims had, in one way or another, come into contact with this mysterious patient. Some had worked in his ward, others had undergone treatment at the same time. The detective was determined to find John Doe at all costs. But when she came to the clinic the next day, she was given shocking news. A fire had broken out in the isolated wing of the building overnight. The only patient held there had disappeared without a trace. Emma realized the killer was on the loose, and now he would seek revenge on everyone connected to his confinement in the clinic. A frantic search began. The police combed the town, but the killer seemed to have vanished into thin air. And then new victims started appearing. Now they were doctors and nurses from Pine Hills. The killer was becoming more vicious and elusive. Emma spent sleepless nights trying to unravel the mystery of John Doe. Who was he before he ended up in the clinic? Why was he so feared? And how did he manage to kill without leaving a trace? The answer came unexpectedly. While reviewing old town archives, Emma stumbled upon a mention of a series of brutal murders that had occurred in Mill Creek 20 years ago. The killer was never found, but witnesses described him as a man with unusual eyes, so dark that they seemed to have no pupils. The description matched the only surviving photograph of John Doe in the clinic's archive. Emma realized the serial killer hadn't been caught. He had simply been locked away in a psychiatric facility, hoping he would never get out. But now he was back to finish what he had started. Emma warned everyone who had ever worked at Pine Hills. But the killer was cunning. He penetrated the most secure homes, bypassed all traps. It seemed he could read his victims' minds. The detective realized that the only way to stop him was to lure him into a trap. She announced on television that she was ready to reveal the whole truth about the events of 20 years ago. It was bait that the killer had to take. On the night of the press conference, Emma waited in her house, surrounded by the police's best snipers. Cameras were set up everywhere, every angle was covered. The trap was set, but the killer proved smarter. He didn't come for Emma, he went after her family. The detective's husband and young daughter were kidnapped right from under the guards' noses. Emma received a message: "Come alone if you want to save them," and an address, an abandoned factory on the outskirts of town. Knowing it was certain death, the detective still went to meet the killer. She knew it was the only way to save her family and stop the string of deaths. A nightmare awaited her at the factory. Emma's family was alive but bound, and next to them stood the man, with eyes like bottomless pits. John Doe, the serial killer, finally free. In the ensuing struggle, Emma realized she was dealing with more than just a man. John Doe possessed inhuman strength and speed. He seemed to anticipate her every move. But Emma had an advantage: love for her family and the desire to protect innocent people. At the crucial moment, she managed to push the killer into a vat of chemicals. John Doe's scream seemed to shake the walls of the factory, and then there was silence. Emma freed her family. The police, arriving at the scene, found no trace of the killer's body. He seemed to have dissolved. The town breathed a sigh of relief. The series of murders stopped, but Emma knew this wasn't the end. Somewhere out there, in the darkness, a monster was lurking, one that might return someday, and she would be ready to face him again.